challenges with civil services, right? Now, what are the major challenges with civil services? Yesterday we talked about its role, right? And we have seen, very complex and diverse role, right, of civil servants in India's socio-economic development. Now, what are the challenges? Now, the first challenge is basically the systematic rigidity within bureaucracy, right? And if you look at, they are very famous for a very strict follower of rules and regulation, right? And right, sometimes it is called red tapeism. Have you heard about the word red tapeism? A very strict rules and regulations, right? Okay. And that's that is not good for any country, right? Or any democracy or any development, right? Debureaucratization is always good. Flexibility is always good rather than rigidness. So if you look at the first challenge is systematic rigidity. There are systematic rigidity in civil services, right? So just write and note the point. Civil servants are known for strict follower of rules and regulation. Servants are known for strict follower of rules and regulation, and sometimes it does not suit the situation. Sometimes it does not suit the situation. Sometimes it does not suit the situation. It is also known as red tapeism. It is also known as red tapeism. Right? Now that is the first problem. Second problem is hangover of the past. Hangover of the past. Look at civil servants, right? Uh, Basically, they think that they are ruler, right? Isn't it? Right? They call that is called what sabha? That is called, people's code. Sometimes they call the people and listen their grievances. No, that is have authority of to the politician, right? Got the idea? And the bureaucrats have some authority to follow the some procedural thing. Got the idea? And secondly, if you look at bureaucrats, behaves like a colonial master. Me, ki I'm the boss. And this is a prevalent, a psychology among the Indian bureaucrats, right? Now, where this, psychology comes from or mindset comes from, it is a purely the colonial past, right? Where in the yesterday we discussed, look at in the colonial past, in the colonial era, bureaucrats was ruler. Really, they were rulers, right? They were like instrument of the government to rule the country, right? So it becomes a problem, right? Now, what should be the solution? They should be like a facilitator. They should be like facilitator of development. For the idea rather than a ruler. So write it. Civil servant still think that they are ruler, like the bureaucrats of the past. like bureaucrats of the past. Civil servants, they still think that they are ruler like in the past. Do you get the idea? They think that they are ruler like in the past, right? Rather than facilitator. Rather than facilitator. Then third is, if you look at political interference. Political interference. There are too much political interference in, bureaucracy, right? And that hurts the job of bureaucracy. Now look at what is going on with election commission, right? The election commission is being accused, right, to take the side of the one party, right, for the benefit of one party and destroy democracy. What it is labeled, I, I'm not saying that it is a correct, but look at, that political interference is too much in Indian bureaucracy, right? And basically the political executive, the leaders, right, decide too much, isn't it? They intervenes. So write it. There is too much political interference in the work of bureaucrats. There are too much political interference in the work of bureaucrat. There are too much interference, political interference in the work of bureaucrats. It hurt, it hurts bureaucracy as a rational legal authority. It hurts bureaucracy as rational legal authority. As rational legal authority. Have you heard about rational legal authority, or are you listening first time? First time? Okay, let me talk about, yeah. Now, now it was a Max Weber. Have you heard about Max Weber? Have you heard about Max Weber? He was a great sociologist, right? And he talked about three types of authority. He talks about what type of authority? Three types of authority, right? Now, let me move to the next. Max Weber, uh, you know, three types of authority. First, he said traditional authority. Traditional authority. Traditional authority refers to a person extract authority from tradition, custom, right? Conventions, so on and so forth. For example, uh, authority of a tribal chief, right? Basically, that comes from the traditional authority. Now, it was very prevalent in medieval era, right, where the king extracted this authority from their father. So look at the, authority was transferred from, father to son, right? Or even in the tribal area where the authority was transferred to the particular person because of the tradition or custom. Got the idea? Now, second is he talked about, charismatic authority. Charismatic authority. Now, charismatic authority refers to some person has acquired authority because of his personal charisma, because of personal charisma, heroism, right? For example, if you look at Gandhi, right? So Gandhi had no traditional authority. What Gandhi had in colonial era during the freedom struggle, he had charismatic authority. He was known as Mahatma Bapu, right? Now look at Ramdev Baba has charismatic authority. Or Bageshwar. I hope you have heard about Bageshwar. मिले हो किसमें okay anyway so he has charismatic authority. Now third authority he talks about that rational legal authority. Rational legal authority. Now what is a rational legal authority? Right, rational legal authority is an authority which derives its power from the law, from the rules or regulation. This is a very much modern authority. And if you look at the bureaucracy is a rational legal authority. Now, if you look at bureaucracy, the meaning of bureaucracy, right? Bureau means desk. Cracy means rule, like democracy, right? So, ruling something from the desk, right? Now, look at, he talked about the modern bureaucracy has become a phenomena of modern nation state. Every modern nation state has a bureaucrat, which is non neither traditional nor charismatic. It is a very much rational legal authority. So bureaucrats are actually recruited, right, on certain guideline, right, and there is a hierarchy is maintained. Hierarchy is maintained, right? So if you look at the bureaucrats, all bureaucrats are basically a rational legal authority rather than having traditional or charismatic authority. Got the idea? Right? Right? Right. So if you look at, as I talked about, when political, there is an interference that actually rational and legal authority, destroys. Got the idea? Now, let me move to the next, right? Political, no, uh, lack of openness, accountability issue, right? So we talked about systematic rigidity, hangover of the past, political interference. Fourth, you write lack of openness. Now, even lack of openness comes from the past. The Secret Act 1923, right, which allowed the government to keep information very much secret, and don't, you know, reveal it, right? And another way is if you look at, there is a lack of accountability also of the bureaucracy, right? Look at the corruption. There are also corruption, right? So write it. Bureaucrats loves secrecy. Bureaucrats love secrecy, which they have inherited from British era, which they have inherited from British era. Yeah. Fifth, lack of transparency and accountability. Lack of transparency and accountability. Right. Then what are the another issue? Corruption. Corruption. Or don't you think that Indian bureaucrats are not corrupt? Do you think like this? They are honest, they are corrupt, yeah, but corruption is there, right? I'm talking about the entire bureaucracy. I'm not talking about the particular individual, right? Of course, within bureaucracy, there are people who work, right, in a very honestful manner. Otherwise, if you look at, there is a corruption. What idea? So these are the challenges with India's bureaucracy. Clear? Right. Now I'll talk about yesterday we discussed a bit, lateral entry. Lateral entry. Now, if you look at lateral entry means direct entry of the domain expert, right? In bureaucracy, at higher level, basically, at higher level for the particular period of time. So look at there had been lateral entry, for example. Let me give you an example. Have you heard about Arjit Patel? He was a RBI governor, right? If you look at the current uh, chief of the finance commission, who is the current chief of finance commission? Bal is a bureaucrat. He's not domain expert. Arvind Panigria. Arvind Panigria is a current chief of his finance commission. So he came through the lateral entry. And if you look at the first vice chief of Niti Aayog, do you know Niti Aayog? When Niti Aayog was constituted, 2015, and the deputy, if you look at Niti Aayog, is headed by the Prime Minister, right? And then deputy chairman, right? Who was the first deputy chairman of the Niti Aayog? Arvind Panagria. Arvind Panagria, and he's a professor of economics, right? By profession, he's teaching in the US, but yes, Indian government offers him right to serve country as a domain expert, right? So if you look at the lateral entry, so there are a recruitment process. There are two types of recruitment process. One is through the examination, right, right, and another is lateral entry. Now, if you look at recruitment of the civil servant, there are two ways. Examination that you already know, that three stages examination, right? Prelims, mains, and interview. Now another is lateral entry. So lateral entry is basically direct entry of domain expert. export, at middle or higher level of bureaucracy. So lateral entry means direct entry of domain export. Domain export means, what is the meaning of domain export? Export of the particular area. Like for example, someone may be economist, someone may be export of technology, someone may be export of a certain thing, right? Governance, right? Or finance, and so on and so forth. So that is a domain export, right? At middle or higher level of bureaucracy for for a particular period of time. Particular period of time. लैटरल एंट्री का मतलब ये नहीं है कि पूरा जिंदगी के लिए फिर से आप बन गए आप, राइट? Lateral entry means the job is given, right, to the domain export, right, for a particular period of time. For example, 3 years or 4 years. For example, 3 years or 5 years, right? District collector, district collector कभी नहीं आते lateral entry के through. Lateral entry is a high post. It is entry of the export at either middle, the joint secretary, joint director, right, or Sida, the chief, the deputy chief type. Look at the chief of the finance commission as of now. It is through the lateral entry. Got the idea, right? So there have been history in India for lateral entry. It is not the first time, or the new. It is not new, right? And if you look at, there have been Montek Singh Ahluwalia. Have you heard of Montek Singh Ahluwalia? He was a deputy chief of the planning commission, right? Then if you look at Raghuram Rajan, right? Then look at E. Sridharan. Have you heard about E. Sridharan, the metro man? You take metro, right? He's a metro man, right? The development of metro basically is actually the product of the hard labor and the skills of the East Sridharan, or not East Sridharan, yeah, East Sridharan. His name was East Sridharan, right? So if you look at, government has brought domain export like financial export of RBI, or chief economic advisor, or the deputy of the Niti Aayog, right, and so on and so forth. Got the idea? Now, if you look at, in 2019, government appointed 9 joint secretary from the private sector. So these all are basically, lateral entry, they are the domain expert who are working somewhere else as a professor, or as a, have very strong and proved, track record in their work, and they are appointed as a bureaucrats. Got the idea? Right? Right. Now, why? Why they are actually appointed? So first you write the region, right? लिखिए जरा कुछ लिखिए. In the last decade, government has brought experts and professionals. The last decade, governments have brought professionals and experts professionals and experts for a specific post. for a specific post, like chief of RBI, economic advisor, the deputy of Niti Ayog, Niti Ayog, joint secretaries, joint secretaries of the different department of the government, and so on. Done? Right? Okay. There is a proposal to recruit more than 400. There is a proposal to recruit 400. Yeah, yeah. I'm giving you data. There is a proposal to recruit 400 directors and deputy directors. There is a proposal of recruitment of more than 400 directors, deputy secretaries, deputy directors in the different department of the government through lateral entry. Through the lateral entry. Got the idea? Now, if you look at this, where this has started from, the lateral entry, direct entry, it is an old history, right? If it is not that the first time this government is doing, British government also did, right? And there was a North Kote Travel-in Committee recommendation that superior position should be given to the specialist, right? And then later on, if you look at, there was a second pay commission, then estimate committee of the parliament, then second ARC, right? Second administrative commission report of 2006, right? And then, Basavan committee of 2016, right? And then also BN Krishna committee. Right? These all committee have suggested. So if you see, several committee have suggested on different time period, right, to recruit the domain expert, right, for the government. Because if you look at domain expert, they are very specialist in their work, right? And if you talk about the bureaucrats, which is uh, recruited through the examination, right? So basically, they are the jack of all trades, but master of none. They are jack of all trades, but master of none. So we need to actually recruit masters, right? Those who have special skills and expertise, right? And those who understand the complexity of the problem. Right? I don't say that bureaucrats have no speciality, right? There are many bureaucrats who acquire a speciality in due course of time, due to the higher study, due to their particular interest, right? But most of the bureaucrats are basically they are not a specialist. They are general, yeah. They are general, right? They know everything, and the person who knows everything knows nothing, isn't it? You don't believe so? It is basically the persons who knows everything knows nothing. He knows everything, right? But he has no speciality on the particular thing. The purpose to say that he knows everything, but his knowledge is very much superficial, right? And lacks that deep driven, you know, testability, verifiability, and falsifiability. Got the idea, right? जो सबको सबको एक कहावत है ना, जिसकी सबसे अच्छी दोस्ती है वो किसी उसका दोस्ती किसी से अच्छी नहीं है ना? जो सबका अच्छा दोस्त है ना वो किसी का अच्छा दोस्त नहीं है फिर। सुना है ये? Yeah, a friend of all is friend to none. You are not able to understand. Okay, so friends of all, the friend for all is friend to none, basically. So that is that is the issue. Similarly, the person who knows everything knows nothing. Got the idea? So similarly, if you look at the journalist who is actually have command but not a speciality on any particular thing. So write about the backgrounds of the lateral entry. The the specialists are not journalists. Yeah, the government lacks expertise. Right. Yeah, this is the region basically. This is the region, right? That we look at the policymakers or on different occasions, right? We need a specialist, right? Right. What happens? Of course, I can't say that bureaucrats have no knowledge. They have knowledge, right? But they lack so expertise, right? That a professor or especially they are professors of the right different areas. Right? Look at Manmohan Singh, right? Manmohan Singh was a governor of RBI, right? Now he was appointed as a specialist. Okay? So background of lateral. So right, right. Okay. Uh, North Kotic Committee we own. Yeah. Okay. In India, the second pay commission in India, the second pay commission the estimate committee of the parliament uh, suggested for lateral entry, right? Second, you write the second ARC, the second ARC 2007 and second ARC Basavan committee Basavan committee and BN Krishna committee. committee recommended that BN Krishna committee recommended that the government should ensure the government should ensure the entry of talent. The government should ensure the entry of talent. They argued that they argued that a specialist can play a better role. They argued that a specialist can play a better role at higher level of a specialist can play better role at higher level of the government. Clear? Now let me talk about the need. What was the need for lateral entry? So one reason for lateral entry that we know that the lack of uh, expertise in the government, right? So lack, lack of expert domain in the government, right? So this is a one region that we already talked about, right? Then second is also to bring a very new and fresh talent, right, and new perspective on policy, right? To bring a new and fresh perspective on any policy issue. Third, to increase efficiency in the government. To increase the efficiency, to increase efficiency in the government, right? Then also to bring competitiveness among the bureaucrats. To bring competitiveness among bureaucrats. To bring competitiveness among bureaucrats. Right. Fifth, to fill the vacancy gap of officer. I'm writing here to fill vacancy gap of officers. Now, if you look at UPSC according to the DOPT, right, Department of Personnel and Training, right, there is a shortage of 1,500 IS officers in India. and you cannot recruit in one day everyone. You right, because otherwise consider, otherwise there will be sacrifice on the talent. Now if you look at out of 14,000 people wrote mains approximately, I'm telling you, and out of 14,000, 3,000 actually cleared for interview, and out of 3,000 only 1,000, right, and out of 1,000 basically 100, 150, sometimes 125 actually has been taken as a administrative officer. So look at, they are taking the cream, right? Now consider, अगर 1500 मतलब 1500 आईएएस लेना है तो यानी कि आपको बहुत ज्यादा सीट निकालना पड़ेगा, right? Now if you allow in mass, then what will be the actually consequences? There will be compromise on quality. Compromise on quality. So to fill the vacancy of the gap of officer, you write according to DOPT data, according to DOPT. What is DOPT? Look at UPSC. Yeah. UPSC, conducts examination, right? Right. Recruit. Now DOPT gives you appointment, right? The later work actually is the of the DOPT, right? ट्रेनिंग का जो भी सारा ये देगा, अपॉइंटमेंट सारा ये काम देगा। यूपीएससी एग्जाम कंडक्ट करा के उसका काम वहीं तक हो गया, अब दे दिया उसको, आप करो, अब देखो उसको। Got the idea? So according to DOPT, right, there is a shortage of 1,500 IS officers in India. There are shortage of 1,500 IS officers in India. Right? So that is a need for lateral entry. Making sense? Department of Personnel and Training. ठीक है? That is a full form, Department of Personnel and Training. So that is a need for lateral entry, right? Now, what are the challenges, of the lateral entry? What are the challenges of lateral entry? The first challenges actually comes from the bureaucracy itself. ब्यूरोक्रेट को अच्छा नहीं लगेगा ना, आप सीधा बिना एग्जाम दे के आ रहे हो और सीधा हमारा ऑफिसर बन गए, because they are appointed as at middle level or the highest, right? So first challenges that comes from the within bureaucracy itself, right? So first challenge is resistance from bureaucracy or from permanent bureaucracy. They are not permanent. Let me tell you, the lateral entry, those who entered into lateral ना, वो कुछ साल तक काम करेंगे, फिर वो they will go back. 5 साल, 3 years, 5 years, 7 years maybe, depends on the government. Government may extend the service tenure. There is no minimum or a maximum, but generally they are actually recruited for minimum 3 years generally, right? And maximum there is no limit. Okay, right? Now, so this is a resistance from permanent bureaucracy that comes, right? Now, second is if you look at the experts, they are the master mauler, the professors, right? Of course, they do lots of work, right? But they're very, very, they find very difficult in adjusting the existing bureaucratic work culture. As I told you, the bureaucratic work culture, okay, कि इतने बजे ऑफिस खुलना है, इतने बजे खोलना है. Expert has no time limit, right? वो 12 बजे रात तक देखेगा तो 12 बजे रात तक काम करेगा, उसके बाद सोएगा 12-1 बजे दिन तक, फिर मन आएगा तो ऑफिस होगा, नहीं तो उस दिन सोता रह जाएगा, अगले दिन आएगा. Right? Domain experts look at every every scientist or every domain experts, they need some flexibility. Their life is a very flexible. Of course they do lots of work, let me tell you, right? But their life is full of flexibility as well, because if you look for the special work, you need a special energy, special something. जब दिमाग में आ रहा तभी आएगा, आप ये नहीं बोलोगे कि अच्छा अभी बोलना शुरू कर दो. What the idea, right? ठीक है, for example any singer like तानसेन, right? तो तानसेन तभी गाएगा जब उसको when he will have urge to sing, कि मुझे गाना है, I have to sing, right? But consider someone to whom you press, okay, you sing, again you sing. Of course, the singing there will be difference in quality of singing. Got the idea, right? So basically, they find difficulty in adjustment in the existing bureaucratic work culture. They find difficulty in adjusting in the existing bureaucratic work culture. Work culture, right? For example, Three Idiots, I think you have watched, right? उसमें वायरस का जो कैरेक्टर दिखाया ना, इट्स नॉट लाइक प्रोफेसर, इट्स लाइक ब्यूरोक्रेट. इतना टाइम हो गया ना, प्रोफेसर सर टाइम हो गया तो हो गया, राइट? हो गया तो हो गया, आराम से, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. I am telling you my experience when I was at CPS, Center for Political Studies, JNU. Right, my teacher used to come 1.5 hours late generally. In 2 hours classes, he used to come 1.5 hours late, and then he used to teach next 6 hours. Meanwhile, he allowed that to anyone to bring samosa, chai, you have it, no issue. You eat, you laugh, you make some right, yeah, jokes, and then you learn it, you discuss it, the particular topic, right, particular issues. So he has no time. That's a character of a non-bureaucrat. Get it? Right. Then third is, if you look at third problem in recruitment process, basically, now look at, there is a too much political interference in the recruitment process. Nepotism, right? So there is a nepotism and political interference in selection process. In in selection process. Right? So these are problem. Now next problem is that if you look at, there is no reservation. Now if you look at uh, in lateral entry, there is no reservation. It means, yeah, it means equality is not equal. Equality does not mean equal treatment. Equality means fair treatment. Equality does not mean equal treatment. Consider a young man and old person. Should I treat equal or should I treat fairly? Yeah, equity. Yeah, exactly. Equity. That is fair treatment, right? So fair treatment is basically equal. That is also equality. That is also a sense of equality. Got the idea? So if you look at recently, 78 position was actually government issued, right? Government released 78 positions, right, to recruit as a lateral entry, and Rahul Gandhi made lots of noise. Now this government cancelled the lateral entry 78 post, right? He made the questions of reservation that if you are recruiting this much of post, then where is the reservation? So there is a lack of reservation in lateral entry.
So, but the thing is that the existing professor, they already maybe some of them got the reservation. So it's like getting double reservation. And there also
Now
there is no reservation.
you are saying as a salary, na? I think she's asking about salary. She gets salary from here and there, both the places.
So I'm not saying salary. I'm saying like the reservation they get in college, the backward classes and everything. And there is reservation in this later entry also. So if there is no reservation in college.
Do you think that lateral entry at any, there is a, let me tell you, it's so that I don't have data, but let me tell you with the good sense of the government, irrespective of the government, whether Congress or BJP, not a single SC candidate would have been selected on as a lateral through a lateral entry. With the good sense of having the knowledge about the recruitment process, right? Now we make lots of hue and cry about reservation, right? But let me tell you, reservation is one of the way to ameliorate the betterment of the society. Now let me tell you, give you the example of women reservation in political institution in India. India has the lowest representation of women in South Asia. Not only in South Asia, also in the world also. In the world, the average woman representation is 30% of the world I'm talking about. In South Asia, it is 20%. In India, the highest gone up to the 14% in Indian Parliament. If you talk about the state legislature, it is 10% or low. It is 10% or low. Now, it does not mean that women are not talented. Women are not educated, right? Women have no such intelligence or some that professionalism. The structure, that what is that a structure called patriarchy, right? The patriarchy, which did not allow women to be the representative. Even the women representative we have, the most of women representatives are either daughter or in-laws of a politicians.
Just like here in
Making sense here?
my question was like,
Yeah.
see, when there is selection in UGC, in that there are reservations, right? So then they get selected into college professors and everything. And these specialists are hired through like lateral entry. So I think this is the right thing. There is no
There's several things. Yeah, that is she. There's a
Because it would be like double reservation.
that's your decision. See, that's your opinion, right? That's your opinion, right? Okay, there should be see. Yeah, that's your opinion. Look at there are lots of voice in favor of reservation. In opposite, if you look at there are lots of voice against reservation.
So it should be more of a exploitative policy now because it should be like अगर एक generation को मिल गई like my granddad he got the reservation then we are economically stable for example so the other generation are also economically stable through that thing but like my dad will also get reservation I will get my kids will get their kids it's like a more of a
Do
hierarchy.
you know the backlog quota? What is backlog quota? You need to know the all the needs and nook and corners of reservation, right? Consider, yeah, consider that if you have secure reservation as a first generation and you have ample resources, right? Income, for example, Tina Davi, right? Tina Davi actually secured first rank, right? But she had reservation, right? In prelims, yeah, in prelims, she secured because of she was Nazi candidate, and many people have talked about that. Why Tina Davi, look at her mother, right? She was in IAS, right? Father was also officer, so why should she get? Now let me tell you, if you don't allow, that reservation, then what will happen? The post will remain vacant, right? And that vacant post turn into the seats of the general after a few years, right? Somewhere there is a roster system. Have you heard about the roster system? Not yet, right? So there is a lot of issue. Look at here. The question of reservation is not only the reservation; it is also representation of the particular community. Whether SC or women or ST or so on and so forth. Yeah, there is a problem of creamy layer, right? That needs to be addressed separately rather than excluding the creamy layer, right? There is a debate of reservation within reservation or quota within quota debate. There is already debate. What the idea? तो थोड़ा सा issue हो जाता है, right? There are many professions where there is no reservation, right? Even for the chartered accountant, have you heard about chartered accountant? There is no such reservation, right? Even right, the BCCI does not give reservation for playing cricket, right? So yeah, there is no reservation such, right? Anyway, but here, yeah, but if you look at the issue of reservation in lateral entry, it comes and it comes basically, it appears time and again, right? It becomes a political debate in India, right? Why you are taking lateral entry in this much, right? Now, the fifth problem, the challenges of lateral entry, right? So that is basically the lack of practical knowledge to the specialist, right? Or a specialist lacks a specialist lack pragmatic knowledge about the government, about the functioning of the government. Right? And consequently, if you look at many, lateral entry who resign early, they resign early and then go back to their, to their original work. Yeah, they go back to their original work. मुझे नहीं रहना है. Same person who chairing chief commission, this one, the heading finance commission, right? He left early He left early, very early, while he joined as a deputy chief of the नीति आयोग. अरविंद पैनेग्रिया कुछ दिनों बाद छोड़ दिया, उन्होंने बोला कि मुझसे नहीं होगा, मैं जा रहा हूं, मुझे काम में पढ़ाना है वहां पर. Right, look at Arjit Patel, he also left. Right, look at Raghuram Rajan, he also left. Right, so of course there is an issue. So these are the challenges of a lateral entry. Now one thing is there, and that is about you know the issue of transfer of civil services. Have you heard about the civil servants are quickly transferred, and that becomes a problem. That becomes a problem, right? So quickly transferred. Let me tell you the data. This is actually government data. Between 1978 to 2006, 60%, around 50 to 60% IS officer spend only less than a year at at one place. And within a year, you got transfer. On the contrary, if you look at between 1978 to 2006, again this is government data, right? The number of IS officers who spend more than 3 years in their respective position is less than 10%. So less than only 10% of IS officers spend 3 years where they have posted, right? And if you must have heard about the IS officer like Ashok Khemka, right? Durga Shakti Nagpal, Kuldeep Narayan, right? They have become the victim of arbitrary suspension and transfer, right? Now question is, if there is a quick transfer, right, and very immediate transfer, civil services would not be able to work right properly, right? Within 1 year, what can you do? As I had given you data that 50 to 60% of civil servants between 1978 to 2006, right, they spend only less than a year in their respective position. यानी हर एक साल के बाद उनकी ट्रांसफर हो जाती है. 50 to 60% IS officers get transferred within a year. Got the idea? ठीक है. Now look at what are the drawback of this quick transfer. Basically, it adversely impact the governance, isn't it? Right. So, right, the issue of transfer of civil servants. This is an issue, but it comes in newspaper. But UPSC has not asked yet. Issues of transfer. Issue of transfer. What issues? Of civil servants. ठीक है, frequent transfer. लो, एडजेक्टिव लगा दिया आपने. ठीक है. ट्रांसफर तो होगी यार. Frequent transfer. Now write the data. लिखिए. Write data. लिखिए. Between 1978 to 2006, write data. Some data that you give and then we analyze. Between 1978 to 2006, 50 to 60% of IS officer spent less than a year in their respective position. In their respective position. Next data you write, next point. Okay. On the contrary, the number of IS officers who spent more than 3 years, on the contrary, the number of IS officers who served more than 3 years in their respective position is less than 10%. Is less than 10%. एवरेज टाइम भी लिखवा दूं, कितने टाइम में ट्रांसफर हो जाता है? देखिए, द एवरेज टेन्योर ऑफ ट्रांसफर इज 16 months. द एवरेज tenure of transfer is 16 months. What is the average tenure? The average time for the transfer? 16 months. Right? तो किसी का 4 महीने में भी हो गया, किसी का 24 months में भी हो गया. Right? Someone is transferred, Jayashree, someone transferred in 4 months, someone may transfer in 24 months, right? Depends on. This is average, right? Right? Now, right, like in the recent decade, many IS officers like Ashok Khemka, in recent decade, in recent decades, many IS officers like Ashok Khemka, Durga Shakti Nagpal, Kuldeep Narayan, Ashok Khemka, Durga Shakti Nagpal, Kuldeep Narayan, and others have become victim of arbitrary suspension Ashok Khemka, Durga Shakti Nagpal, Kuldeep Narayan, and others have victim of arbitrary suspension and transfer. So this is data about the frequent transfer. Now, if you look at what are the drawbacks of quick transfer or frequent transfer? What are the drawbacks? First drawback is basically it impacts governance. It adversely affects governance. 1.5 साल में वो क्या ही जान लेगा, राइट? ठीक है. Second, they are unable to build the required mutual confidence and understanding in their respective position, respective posting. Third, it leads to lack of transparency and accountability. For example, if you look at, in order to finish one work, if you look at, right, a work finished in consider 3 years or 5 years. Now there have been multiple IAS officers, you know, supervises it and they look this work. No one can take the accountability, isn't it? Right? Now, if you look at, it also comes, affects job satisfaction, right? And also, child education, family togetherness, political interference, and so on so much, right? So it's also impacts on job satisfaction, faction, child education, child education, family togetherness, and family togetherness. Right? They all suffer equally. क्या हुआ? Done. The transfer issues. हो गया, yeah? It also impacts on job satisfaction, child education, and family togetherness. Yeah, Mahek, are you doing? Any doubt if you have till now? क्या हुआ? One thing I need to teach, that is civil services reform, right? But it will take time. I will not teach you today. I'll teach you tomorrow, matlab, the next class. And I think next 15 to 30 minutes around this, topic will end. And then I'll begin poverty and hunger issues, right? So उस दिन खत्म हो जाएगा poverty and hunger भी. Now we have 5 to 10 minutes. Let me talk about government schemes on civil servants, right? So right, the government schemes on civil services in India, or capacity building of civil services in India. Capacity building, right, of the civil servants in India. Right. Now, there is one scheme called Mission Karma Yogi. Have you heard about Mission Karmayogi? Mission Karmayogi. Now its another name is National Program for National Program for Civil Services Capacity Building. Right? Now, if you look at the name itself, suggests that it is a capacity building program, and basically it focuses on to make bureaucrats citizen centric. So, right, the aim of the program or the aim of the mission Karmayogi is the aim of the mission Karmayogi is to make Indian bureaucracy citizen centric. Citizen centric. Second, the second aim is to change behavior and psychology. The second aim is to change behavior and psychology with regard to with regard to public service delivery, public service delivery. Next, to lead ease of living and ease of doing business. To lead ease of living and ease of doing business. Uh, Fourth, next, to focus on digital digitalization, to focus on digitalization, focus on digitalization. In this sense, Mission Karmayogi, the concluded, in this sense, Mission Karmayogi emphasize on capacity building. In this way, Mission Karmayogi emphasizes on capacity building and new management in the government structure. New management in the government structure. That's done from my side, right? Any new things comes with the Mission Karmayogi, right? That If newspaper comes, yeah, you can add on. आज के लिए इतना ही. So I'll stop here and see you on Tuesday.